Hello and a very warm welcome to Summit Seashore Birding Adventures and actually the last episode of 2023. I hope that you've all had a fantastic Christmas and are looking forward to the new year with starting a New Year's list. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all my subscribers. I really appreciate your thumbs up and your comments and words of encouragement. It's meant a great deal to me. And of course, meeting many of you in the field has been fantastic. It's definitely been a year of ups and downs and highs and lows, and in some cases a lot of effort for little reward. I'm sure you've heard me grumble on about my dips during this last year, but a few worthy of mention was the black-winged kite in Essex. I missed that just by about 5 minutes. I can't really grumble though, because I think there were some people who tried to get that bird in 3 different counties and came up blank. So yeah, that was a bit painful. The greenish warbler at the Naze in Essex. I was there the day it was actually reported. I was with some other birders as well. None of us saw the bird. I don't know if I saw the report until I got home. But yeah, anyway, there you go. Such is life. Didn't get that bird. Broad-billed sandpiper in South Yorkshire. That was a real painful one. That's a bird I really, really want to see. For whatever reason, I love waders anyway. But yeah, I'd love to see that bird. And I really thought I had a good chance of that bird. And had I have been there the day before and going to the site, I know I would have got some fantastic views. Unfortunately, I missed that, and hopefully I'll get another go at that next year. The solitary sandpiper, that was a triple dip. That one was really painful actually. 3 attempts down at Stobmarsh for that bird. Got fantastic looks at green sandpiper, but no solitary. But there you go. Lesser grey shrike at Minions in Cornwall. That bird had been showing really well every day until the day I turned up. Apparently it decided to fly off the night before. So all the birders who were on site that day didn't get it. But I did get a really nice looks at black redstart there, so that was nice. And woodchuck shrike in Dorset. That seems to be somewhat of a nemesis bird for me. I don't know why, because lots get reported, but often I can't go for them, and that's just the way it goes. But anyway, it's another bird to look forward to. But with that out of the way, it was a good year. I got 226 species this year. Did lots of e-birding, which was lots of fun. Out of those 226, 33 of them were British ticks for me, and out of that, 10 of them were actually lifers. My goal was really to see 20 species this year, and I got 33, so I can't grumble. And of course, I've got a lower British list, so it's easier for me to get a bigger number of British ticks within a year. And obviously, as time goes on, that will diminish. One of them was pretty stringy, ruddy-shelled duck. I'm not sure what they're going to do about that bird. You know, feral populations and introduced birds and all the rest of it. But I did see it. It didn't have any rings on it, and I'll leave that up to the powers that be. But of course, that bird isn't listed on my bubo list. 2 of those birds were herd birds only, which was a corncrake in Norfolk and golden oriole just outside of Minsmere in Suffolk. That bird I got audio recording on. I just could not get onto the bird. I could hear it clearly, but I just could not get onto that bird. But I uploaded that to Xenocanto and to eBird, the audio. So it's hard to, highlight any one bird really, because a lot of them have been fantastic. But a few I'll mention was the grey-headed lapwing up in Northumberland. And that day was quite funny. I've covered that in another video, but I got to see that with my really good birding pal Mickey Avenell. That was quite an adventure that day. There is a couple more that you're gonna see in the following video, so I won't mention them right now. Brown booby at South Gare, Cleveland. That was obviously that's an incredible bird to see, and got really good looks at that. Little crake in Buckinghamshire, being a cryptic species, I was so happy to see that bird, because they're a really tough bird to see. On occasion, obviously people can hear them, but to see it was wonderful. Of course, magnolia and Canada warbler. That was just an incredible day getting those birds. But I mean, to be honest, the whole week, the 10 days that surrounded those North American rarities turning up here in the UK and over in Ireland, it was as exciting, just hearing the phone ping and seeing another, a bird, another red-eyed vireo turning up, or another bay-breasted warbler, or ovenbird or whatever. It was just an incredible moment in British and Irish birding history. So it was wonderful to experience that, even though a lot of it was through the phone. But I did get to see those two warblers, and I feel really grateful that I was able to do that. But for me, as weirdly as it might sound, my top bird for 2023 was the white-crowned sparrow, and this is a bird that it wasn't a lifer. It was a British tick, but I loved North American sparrows when I was out there, and this is a bird that I would get regularly in my garden. But I just think they're fantastic. I think any sparrow, North American sparrow here, would be amazing. Of course, going to Norfolk quite a lot and spending a little bit of time in the Three Swallows in Cly, I did venture into the church, and of course there's a photograph of the white-crowned sparrow that turned up there, and I used to look at that thinking how incredible that must have been for everyone who was on that twitch and was able to see that bird. It's a real historical moment in birding. Of course, I didn't experience that, but I did get to see the bird eventually, so I feel really happy about that. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope that you enjoy these last few birds of 2023. It's been a fun year with some incredible birds, and I look forward to next year and seeing what adventures lay ahead and what birds turn up. And I hope that you have a fantastic new year and a great year, and I hope to bump into some of you out in the field. So until next year, Happy New Year and good birding. Okay, if you've never been to this site before, Staines Reservoir is located southwest of Heathrow Airport, just off the M25. If you're coming southbound on the M25, take the A30, junction 13, exit, then turn left onto Stanwell Moor Road. You can exit the same junction if you're heading north on the M25. I usually park on the west side of the reservoir, where there is an obvious off-road parking area close to the entry gate on the right. This is limited to just a few cars, but there is another spot a little further down the road. Alternatively, you can access the causeway from the east. At Staines Reservoir, in hope of seeing black-throated diver, and there's some black-neck grebes here as well. They're pretty annual, but the diver's a nice bird. So I'm just making my way up to both the north and south basins. I'll give you a little bit of if you've never been here, I'll try and give you a look around to see what it's like here. Occasionally over the years, one of the basins will be drained, which produces good habitat for waders, and a few of the better birds seen here have been sharp-tailed sandpiper, bared sandpiper, lesser yellowlegs, pectoral sandpiper, Wilson's phalarope and long-billed dowitcher. Here you can see that the railings drop lower, and so you get a better view here of, this is the south basin, and as we pan left we are now looking at the north basin. You can just see a turn raft there. I did get the black-throated diver plus a great northern diver on the north basin and a great northern diver on the south basin as well, but they were a little too far for any photos or video. However, I did get some quite good views of black-neck grebe. This is a bird that is fairly annual here at Staines, and you do occasionally get to see this bird in breeding plumage as well, but as you can see here, this bird is in winter plumage. Oare Marshes Nature Reserve is found on the North Kent coast, about 13 miles northwest of Canterbury, or a 25-minute drive. So I was down at Oare Marshes in hope of seeing lesser white-fronted goose. This bird was actually reported the day before, but I didn't see that report, so I literally run out the door Saturday morning to be greeted by some lovely muddy paths, and as you can see here, I didn't have the adequate footwear. Shouldn't be wearing Adidas Gazelles chasing birds, but anyway, it was a nice day anyway, and I sort of navigated the trail and finally turned up at site. Luckily the bird was still there. There was probably about 10 birders on site. Sean Ferguson, one of them, and had a bit of a catch up with Sean. And but these birds are pretty cool. Possibly from one of the four sub populations, Fennoscandian populations, Sweden, Finland, and Norway. And I believe that there is another subpopulation on the Kola Peninsula in Russia. These birds tend to winter north of, usually winter north of Turkey and Greece, and but they have been boosted with a reintroduction program in 2015 by BirdLife International. Okay, I am here at Tophill Low Nature Reserve in East Yorkshire. It is December 24th. I set off at about 4:30 this morning from Surrey and arrived It's about 9:10 now, so just over 4.5 hours. It's a bit windy, it's a bit drizzly, it's about 13 degrees outside, and I'm here to hopefully see black-throated thrush. This bird has been here for quite a while now. The big descriptive with this is elusive, which is a word that you don't really want to hear, but I think it's going to be a bit of a stakeout to hopefully see this bird and get an early Christmas present, but that will remain to be seen. Anyway, I'm going to walk down there now. It is quite windy, so I won't be able to do much audio on the way down, but I'll do a little bit of video just to give you an overview of the site. These birds are found in the Siberian taiga. They have turned up before. It's a bird I probably should have seen quite a few years ago. Certainly been a bird or two nearer to me, but it was a time when I wasn't really chasing birds then. So anyway, I'm going to head out there now and stake it out, and hopefully I'll give you something to see. On arrival at the site, I was greeted with this area of scrub with hawthorn, willow and bramble. There was about 3 other birders on site, and we began our vigil. There were quite a few blackbirds feeding on berries and redwing and missel thrush, and also there was a few greenfinch. Well, it's 12:10. So I'm just finishing a mince pie. Got the bird. Yeah, so it showed at about 10:10 and watched it for about an hour. Occasionally it sort of was tucked in. It was a little obscured by branches, and got some decent scope views. It wasn't close, but it was good enough. And hopefully the video that you should be watching now will show how clean this bird was. I mean, it really, when it came out, it really it stood out because it's quite pale. But absolutely over the moon, fantastic bird. Really glad I've come today and gone for it. It has been very windy, so I apologise if the video is a little bit shaky, but yeah, incredible bird. Not just a British tick for me, but a lifer. So I couldn't have asked for more than that. Slightly closer to home, I headed out to East Horsley, where I managed to see 8 Bohemian waxwings feeding on rowan berries. Now this species is fairly regular here as a wintering bird, but sometimes in very small numbers, and but occasionally in certain years we get what are called eruptions. This may be due to slightly better breeding for the birds in the previous season, harsher winters over in Europe, and a lack of food over there. And in these eruption years, a lot of birds turn up here in the UK. For me personally, my biggest memory was from the 2012-13 winter, where lots and lots of waxwings turned up here in the UK. I think I got my first birds at North Camp, Aldershot. Had about 30 there on the 27th of December 2012. Other notable sightings for me were at Crumbles Pond, Eastbourne on the 9th of Feb 2013, where I had 7. I had 17 on the 4th of March 2013 in Byfleet, and then there was a bit of a gap for me. I didn't get any until last year. That was in Middlesbrough, North Yorkshire on the 10th of December, where I had 11. I had another 5 at Lowestoft, Suffolk on the 25th of Feb of this year, and then of course these birds here. So, but they're a fantastic bird to see, and they're always a joy. They're quite approachable. They do like these ornamental plantings, and so often turn up in places like car parks where they have that sort of ornamental planting. But yeah, a wonderful bird to see. It was a lovely light the day I got to see these birds, and yeah, it was a great way to spend Boxing Day. On New Year's Eve, I couldn't resist the urge to go and see a few more of these wonderful Bohemian waxwings. This group was at a small cul-de-sac in Farnham in Surrey, and the birds were flying around quite a lot. There was at least 40 that I could count, and occasionally they would put down onto the berry tree and glean some food before again disappearing. But yeah, fantastic to see this other group. Today I spent an enjoyable morning looking for woodland birds at Lynford Arboretum in Norfolk. Here in the foreground you can see siskin. There are two redwings drinking water here at the back, and then a male chaffinch heading right. It was a lovely place to hang out, and actually I got a little bit of a surprise when a brambling turned up. Briefly as it was, it only stayed for a few seconds taking a bath, but I managed to get a tiny little bit of footage. From there I headed along the path to the paddocks where hawfinch are regularly seen, but unfortunately there was none there when I got there, so I continued down the trail, and here I bumped into a group of about 30 red crossbill. So I spent a little bit of time watching these birds. A lot of them were tucked in, but this lovely male set out nicely for me to get a little bit of footage. I did keep my eye on the paddocks, and I noticed a hawfinch at distance, so I made my way back down the trail to get a better view, but unfortunately the bird had flown, but it was joined by two other birds. That was 3 hawfinch there in total. Here I stopped at the bridge where there's a little feeding station. I watched the comings and goings of a few different birds: blue tit, great tit, cold tit, and actually there was a marsh tit there with lots of siskins up in the alders. Also I had a wonderful view of this lovely little nuthatch here. Actually a couple were coming into the feeders. And it was from here I headed back to the woodland pool to start my vigil for the starbird to arrive. I put about an hour and a half in before finally a hawfinch turned up. Now initially this bird only turned up for a few seconds at a time. They are notoriously nervous anyway, and yeah, it would just settle down for a couple of seconds and was gone. Finally, it must have felt safe enough to hang around, and it began to feed. And so I got some, really wonderful looks at this bird. Probably the best looks I've ever had at this distance. Normally they're sort of backlit and up in trees. So that was a great way and an ending to my morning's birding. I ended up recording 28 species in total, and yeah, for anyone looking for this bird, this is a great place to come to. And even if you don't get it, there's always lots and lots of birds around.